Captain Crunch here, X-Fact Fitness. My name is EJ Lagine. Today I'd like to talk about spotting someone. What's the correct form? There's many different ways. I'm going to go over a technique that I like to use, and Jed Johnson, a couple other guys out there on YouTube probably spot this way. This is the correct form that I was taught how to spot somebody, and I prefer it. Everyone has their own technique, and if you have someone that's never spotted you before, you want to tell them how you want to be spotted. And there's a difference of when to be spotted and when not to be spotted. You know, if you're going for a personal record best or whatever, you want to tell them, first you want to use safety. So if they don't spot you in time, or however some people like the two-finger method, or outside the bar, or lifting it up, take safety. If they don't get to you in time, that there's a safety measure, or it's not going to drop on your chest, or you're not going to come down crashing if you're squatting or if you're overhead press. You want to take these precautions if the spot doesn't get to you in time, even though you have a partner there spotting you. So that in mind, I like to do any overhead or bench pressing. I like to spot from the wrists. You're like, what? I like to grab the back of their wrist as they're pushing up, and you want to grab the wrist and help them, because the first thing to usually go in your bench is your wrist, and it's going to slip and it's going to come down crashing. Okay, and I only will spot them from the wrist, and they'll basically lift it up. But if you have more support in the wrist, that's why a lot of people do. You see them wear wristbands and stuff like that, and to support that wrist, and it feels like you have more control. Same thing in overhead press, shoulder press, spot from the wrist, not from the elbows. Okay, and I always like to, if I have someone spot me just for reps, I like them to keep the weight moving. Once you're at a position where you're pushing, and then you kind of stun, you're kind of struggling to it, it has to be a continuous flowing movement. Okay, so continuous. As soon as it's not continuous flowing and going at a smooth, you need a spot. I prefer it to be a continuous flowing movement. If I'm going for a personal best, I'll tell them, hey, back off, let me get it. And even if I have a sticking point, let me try to push through it. If I'm not pushing through it, go ahead and give me a spot. I'll usually call for it, or if I've been working with a partner long enough, and they'll know when I need it. If I have a new person that I've never worked with before, I want to coach them and make sure, it's correct before, and I'll sit there and talk to them how I want it done, because, it's that weight is what I'm handling. It's going to come crashing down on me. Usually I'll have safety. If it does, if they don't spot right, I take precautions, because you can't trust that guy that you just, hey, come over here and spot me. They're looking at you. You want this done? How? When I squat, or when I'm squatting, I use a different technique. I'll wrap my arms around them, and I actually squat down with them. So my arms are around their upper abdomens, around their chest, right below their chest, or right on their chest level. So my arms will actually support their arms when they have the bar. So it'll be right underneath them, and I'll go down with them, go back up, okay? I'm just there for guidance, but if that bar, if they can't get it up, I'm there to help them. They have that support. So that's just how I spot. Like I said, there's many other different techniques. This is the way I was taught. And hope these tips help. Like I said, there's different ways how to spot people. There's different etiquette. Explain how you want it to be done. Like I said, I use the wrist technique, which I prefer. Like I said, I always like the weight to be moving. So if I'm at a sticking point, I don't want that weight and really have to struggle. If I'm moving at a, say, 2-4 method, or two seconds up, 4 seconds down, I want to keep that. I don't want to move 2 seconds and then go to 3 seconds and finally get it up, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, or whatever, and then it's going to, same. So I want to keep that tempo. always keep that tempo. So if you need that person to keep that tempo with you when you're moving, you know, whatever it is, you know, always shoot for a number. When you're telling them to spot too, say, hey, I'm going to go for 8, or I'm going to go for 10, or I'm going to go, whatever it is. You want to keep that tempo moving. And but if, like I said, if you're going for a personal best, you know, tell them, hey, just back off, or, you know, spotting when if you're at a sticking point and you're struggling, you're wasting a lot of energy to actually do that. So you want to, that's why you want to get it through as fast as you can. You're just struggling and wasting a lot of energy. Eventually you get it up, yeah, but it's better to not waste that energy and put that up there, okay? If you're at a sticking point, try some other things to get past that sticking point, either chains or unmovable object where you're forcing all your strength at that sticking point, just pushing. You can set the bar or whatever it is, so you're pushing on against an unmovable object, and you know, so when you actually have to go to that, you'll just fly right past it. Now we'll get into tips and on that in another video. My name is EJ Olguin, XFAC Fitness. Hope these tips help. Watch me grow.